Tell me what this is.
Me on drugs.
That's you on drugs?
Yeah. I hadn't eaten for days. I'd been up for days, and my hair was falling out.
Not a pretty picture.
Mm-mm.
In the small town of Spanish Fork, Utah.
Hey, Brent, what's up?
17-year-old Mandy Jenkins has just come back from 6 months that nearly destroyed her and her family.
She's a beautiful, strong, healthy girl that had so much going for her, you know, all these gifts and talents, and she was just throwing them away.
An outgoing honor roll student, active in sports, raised in a devout Mormon family. Mandy, this year, became one of the thousands of teenagers who have been hooked on a powerful, highly addictive drug now sweeping through America's high schools. What Mandy calls crystal meth, something she says she thought she could try just once.
I told myself when I was doing it that day that I wouldn't do it again, but the next night I did it again, and it just kept going on like that.
This is crystal meth, the yellow powder that so took over Mandy's life. Methamphetamine, speed, once known as the drug of motorcycle gangs. But now, an investigation by 2020 has found methamphetamine spreading far and wide in this country, in large part because criminal groups have discovered they can easily make it using a chemical sold legally by pharmaceutical companies and even over the counter at some convenience stores. And the result is a drug known in high school hallways as a 24-hour high for the cost of a pizza.
The more people find out you did it, the more it was there for me.
For Mandy, what made it so attractive was that at first, crystal meth helped her go without sleep to keep up with school and a job.
You get lots of energy, talk a lot, you're awake, always moving, paranoid.
But the drug soon took over, and even as she dropped out of school and lost her job, hooked on crystal meth and awake for days at a time, Mandy couldn't quit.
That's what my life was based on, was how to get more drugs.
Methamphetamine is to suburban America what crack cocaine is to the inner city.
And few people know more about the recent spread of methamphetamine than Charles Ilsley, a longtime undercover drug agent in Utah, who travels the country now warning of the dangers of this drug already seen in western states, from teenage addiction to a wave of crime and violence coming from its adult users.
What we are seeing here in Utah right now is going to become more widespread and will rival the cocaine storm of the 1970s in this country. Yes.
This will rival cocaine?
It will. Drug manufacture, young kids involved in meth, crimes of violence is occurring everywhere in this country.
In some places, there's been a virtual explosion of methamphetamine. This woman was brought to the hospital after a methamphetamine binge, screaming for her brain.
Oh, my brain right here, right now, please! Please, I can't stand it! Please! Got my brain in a container! Please, I need it!
Emergency room admissions tied to methamphetamine have more than tripled in some parts of the country, and last year, more than 700 deaths were tied to the drug.
Please, oh God, please, just take an X-ray! Oh, my brain here right now, please, I'm dying!
There is a very strong connection between methamphetamine abuse and violence. Why? Because methamphetamine produces violence in the brain in terms of violent electrical and violent chemical activity more than any other drug we've ever had.
Dr. Ronald Siegel, a professor at UCLA in Los Angeles, has been helping police departments track the spread of methamphetamine.
In some counties in the western region of the United States, we're seeing 34% of the homicides related to methamphetamine.
And yet that is the very drug which has swept through high schools as the new drug of choice of the 90s. And as we saw at the Tarzana Treatment Center in Los Angeles,
I'm Rachel, and I'm 12.
its users are getting younger and younger, beyond the high schools into the junior highs.
I used it like at school, in my room, just wherever.
In school?
Yeah.
In junior high school?
Yes.
Were you the only one?
Using it in the bathroom?
That's
No.
good. No?
We did it like in the bathroom a lot.
14-year-old Heather started to have sex with her dealer to make sure she could get the drug.
I don't think it was really a spoken thing, but I think if I hadn't had sex with him, then I probably wouldn't have gotten as much speed as I did.
What they're finding with methamphetamine is that it delivers an effect that they find extremely useful in their life.
How so?
It gives them energy. It gives them energy to stay up, to do a lot of things, to study, to party, to do it all.
It's just all just a big rush. The first few times you do it, it's just great, and you just feel so good. And
And for teenage girls like Sybil, it has another insidious attraction. It helps them lose weight.
I'd tweak out for a week and lose 20 pounds in 5 days.
And to the consternation of parents and school officials, finding methamphetamine doesn't seem to be much of a problem.
How many could find it within an hour, you think? Raise your hands. Really? Within 1 hour, you could find it?
That's the frightening part, is how quickly this drug took hold in that environment.
In the last just couple of years?
Yes. And escalating every day.
And it's all the more frustrating to undercover agent Charles Isley, because this is one drug that cannot be blamed on some drug lord in South America or Asia.
This is the only drug enterprise that is produced entirely within the United States. The chemicals are purchased here, the glassware and equipment are purchased here, made in America, sold in America, used in America.
But as Isley has learned firsthand in his undercover assignments, it has proven all but impossible to stop the homegrown production that is making methamphetamine so available in this country's high schools.
I've done this in Philadelphia, I've done it in Houston.
In this undercover police tape, Isley, on the left in the red hat, posing as a drug dealer, is being shown how easy it is to set up a clandestine lab to manufacture methamphetamine. A few glass tubes and burners, and a key chemical called ephedrine. It's the people who supply the ephedrine that Isley says are the real culprits.
Ephedrine is methamphetamine with an oxygen molecule attached.
And as long as you can get the ephedrine, you can always make this drug.
You can.
And there's plenty of it. Every year, more than 200 tons of ephedrine are brought into this country from Asia and Europe legally. And that's the problem. Ephedrine, the principal ingredient in illegal methamphetamine, also has a legitimate use in certain cold and asthma medications. But law enforcement authorities have told 2020 that in the last few years, literally hundreds of tons of ephedrine and a related chemical, pseudoephedrine, have ended up not in cold medications, but diverted to illegal methamphetamine labs. In Utah, police say this businessman and his partners sold more than 2 million ephedrine pills to people they thought were big drug dealers, but turned out to be undercover agents, including Charles Isley.
It's methamphetamine, but don't call it that. It's speed.
So you're telling him you're going to use the product you're buying to make illegal drugs, crystal meth.
Methamphetamine, yes. These individuals sold us enough ephedrine to make 182 pounds of methamphetamine.
Please, DEA. You're under arrest, Mr. Salazar. Stand up, put your hands above your head.
In this case, unlike most such cases, drug agents were able to bring federal charges because the undercover tapes showed the businessman being told his ephedrine was going to an illegal operation. But Isley says because of the way the law works, often the companies and individuals selling ephedrine that ends up in illegal drug labs get away with it by simply claiming ignorance of its intended purpose.
And these folks are getting rich off that, and they know what it's being used for.
What is the possible legal explanation for those huge purchases?
There isn't one, in my opinion.
A very bad cold, runny nose?
Unless King Kong has a runny nose. I'm interested in getting some ephedrine pills.
But as Isley showed us, it's possible to buy lots of ephedrine just down the street, at convenience stores, from a string of wholesale distributors like this man selling it out of the back of a trailer.
There's 25, 10, 15, 25, 8.
28. Very little difference between this and a dope deal, except the commodity has not yet been converted into dope.
There are even 800 numbers now for
Can I
ephedrine.
order some ephedrine?
In the course of a few weeks, as part of our 2020 investigation, we were able, over the phone, to buy enough ephedrine and pseudoephedrine to make $75,000 worth of illegal methamphetamine. We never said what we wanted the pills for, nor were we asked. One of the places that dealt with us was the XLI company in Atlanta, run by this man, Victor Prather, whose ephedrine and pseudoephedrine authorities say have been found repeatedly in raids of illegal methamphetamine labs. XLI shipped us 2,000 ephedrine tablets, never once asking for the positive identification required under a recent federal regulation designed to stop misuse of ephedrine.
We got these from you. You shipped these to us.
XLI's owner, Victor Prather, declined repeated requests from 2020 to discuss his ephedrine business.
Law enforcement authorities say people who sell ephedrine, like yourself, are contributing to this problem of methamphetamine ending up in the high schools. What do you say about that?
Good day, sir.
Prather's company says its ephedrine is for asthmatics, a bronchodilator. But earlier this year, federal agents seized financial records from Prather and his company as part of an investigation into diversion of his company's products to illegal methamphetamine labs.
We go into the high schools and say to our young people, just say no. I think that applies to the CEOs and small business owners who push products that clearly are used in the manufacture of drugs.
And for the young addicts of this powerful drug, counselors say it is an ongoing struggle to stay clean.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it makes you feel good. I mean, if something makes you feel good, you're going to want to do it again.
It's hard. Sometimes I'll smell it out of nowhere. I'll be like, oh my God.
I just got really sick. I was blacking out. And I just thought I was going to die.
But you didn't stop.
No.
It kicked my butt, and I'm sure it's kicking hundreds of thousands of other people's butt.
Are you through with that drug?
Yeah.
You're sure?
Yeah.
Or is there some
No.
question mark in your mind still?
I know I'll always be weak to it, you know, but in my own mind, I've had enough.
Just a short time after we talked with her, Mandy began using methamphetamine again. And tonight, Mandy is in a drug rehab center in Arizona.